Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I apologize for the weird lighting. I got a yellow bulb in my lamp over here and then my ring light, and it's now stormy and night outside. But today we're going to talk about a couple books, but two books in the same series that I don't have physically. And they're on my Kindle here, and that is Dungeon Crawler Carl, books 1 and 2. And I don't remember exactly what their official titles are. They're weird. They're weird titles. I think book 2 is Carl's Doomsday Device, and book 1 is just Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm pretty sure Dungeon Crawler Carl's book 1, and then book 2 is Carl's Doomsday Scenario. You've probably heard a little bit about these books. They've been kind of blowing up, and oh my god, for good reason. They are so fun. They're so fun. I'm about a quarter through the third book right now. We're going to talk about book 1 and 2. So Dungeon Crawler Carl focuses on Carl and his cat, Princess Donut. Actually, technically, it's his girlfriend's cat. So when the book starts, he is out of the Coast Guard. He's working. Things are not great. He just went through a breakup. His girlfriend left the cat, swearing she was going to pick him back up, pick Princess Donut, pick her back up at some point. Well, at one point, Princess Donut gets outside. Carl goes out to chase her in nothing but his boxers and a coat, and all of a sudden, all the buildings are smushed flat straight down, and there's some weird announcement in the sky that the great dungeon crawl will begin. So Dungeon Crawler Carl is a lit RPG, which means it is a literary RPG. It's a fantasy story, but video game or role-playing game like elements. It's very much kind of like the West's version of Sword Art Online, except instead of being trapped in a game, it's just the world. And in Dungeon Crawler Carl specifically, it's actually this alien organization that has set up this. It is a game, basically. It's a game show. People have to go into the dungeon, find the next stairwell, go to the next floor, fight the bosses, and everything you would expect in a game or a role-playing game, video game or tabletop or otherwise. But what makes Dungeon Crawler Carl special is how it just doesn't take itself seriously most of the time. It's just so fun. So this is a quote that I'm about to give you. That's not a real spoiler, but just to give you a taste. At one point, Donut the cat becomes a player and becomes intelligent. That's very, very early on. That's basically chapter 4 or something. It's really, really, really quick. As soon as Princess Donut gets, the game starts, she gets activated, so to speak. She takes a potion, gets her intelligence buff and all that stuff, and she can speak now. She's sentient. This is a quote from book 2. "Cats don't drink vodka," Carl said. Princess Donut's response is, "They don't shoot lasers from their eyes either, Carl. Mama needs a night off." I don't know how to describe this series better than that scene. It is so crazy. Basically, Carl has to go through this dungeon with no pants because he didn't have pants, and the AI won't give him pants because it's funnier. And it's a game show. And this is a game show that's put on by different agencies and syndicates throughout the galaxy. I love it so much. It kind of talks about other survivors he meets. There's so many tongue-in-cheek jokes and references, and the characters are spectacular. Even just in book 2, there's so much development. It gets dark. It's not afraid to really go there, but it does it in such a tongue-in-cheek, fun way. And the first book focuses on the first couple of levels, the training levels, so to speak, and then book 2, the real levels, kind of start. And it's so weird because it'll go from just being very tongue-in-cheek, fun, and then all of a sudden it'll get very, very dark and things will get very, very serious. There's trolling, like literal intergalactic trolling, between after Carl pisses off some bigwig in space on what is basically a late night show that kind of talks about the crawlers in the game. And I can't even go into that without spoiling it more, but it's so good, and there's just all these ramifications. It's so interesting. There's still so much mystery. I think there's 7 books out now. Yeah, I'm on 3 of 7. And there's just so many unanswered questions and things that usually you'll get just enough pieces. Oh God, my cat's gonna... Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. He didn't knock over the camera. But you'll get so many bits and pieces that you can probably guess what's happening or the direction that things are going before it actually happens. And that's just spectacular. You know, I absolutely love that in a book. But what makes this so special is just everything. It's this perfect amalgamation. And you can tell it was just written by someone who liked games. Video games, tabletop, it doesn't matter. Carl also doesn't have shoes and all this goes on. And it's going to be a small spoiler, not really a plot relevant spoiler. At least not so far. But like the AI has some weird foot fetish. So every time he upgrades a skill involving like kicking or stomping his bare feet, the text is some like sultry, flirtatious, highly inappropriate description of his skill and his leveling, and it's just so fun. And Princess Donut is hilarious. She speaks in all caps all the time. She is almost like a very educated child, and it's so good. She has a little tiara. As far as like everyone in the universe and everyone watching the show is concerned, she is the actual main character. She's the party leader. She is the princess. She's an actual princess. And she parades herself around like that because she used to do like contests, like cat, I don't know how you call it, cat shows, basically. Like the Westminster Dog Show, but for cats. And it's so great. Some of the characters are great. Like the side characters. I'm trying to think of what I can say without spoiling them. At one point, Princess Donut gets a pet, and that's just spectacular. There are some sad implications or some more gut-wrenching scenes and situations. For example, everyone gets a guide, and some of these guides give these crawlers conflicting information about how to survive in the games. It's very Hunger Games in that sense, whereas Districts 1 and 2, the rich districts, would kind of focus on really taking out and killing the other participants in the Hunger Games, whereas other districts would just focus on survival. And it's very similar in that sense. There's some definite Hunger Games inspiration here, kind of throughout the games. There's also political elements, really, because different companies take over all these, take over the games every year, and there's basically a ceasefire. While the games are in progress, a business kind of freeze. So there's implications that the company that are putting on the game that Carl is in is actually going bankrupt. So they need the games to do well, but they're also needing to go fast because they need the money. They need to recoup the money very quickly to pay off all their loans and all their debts, because other companies are ready to just invade and buy them up, because it's kind of a planetary economy. It's a planetary business, so it is like its own planet, but also a corporation. It's very strange. A lot of this book is just very strange. That's probably the best way to describe Dungeon Crawler Carl as a series. I will say that I have been told the best way to enjoy this is not to read it, but to do the audio on Audible. I don't know if I'm going to do that. If I do, it'll start with book 4, but it's on Kindle Unlimited. It is not free on Audible. I recommend it. I think both books, Dungeon Crawler Carl and Carl's Doomsday Scenario, for me personally, are at least 4 stars. And I go right on the edge of 5 stars, just blowing through them. I think I read the first book in a day and a half, and I read the second book over a couple days while working on other stuff, and I'm already a quarter through the third book. Like, I'll probably finish 14% through the third book. I guess it's less than a quarter, but I'm not good at math. But I guess it is longer. Book 3, I think, is like 500 pages than the other, so it's about twice as long. But I'll still probably end up finishing it this week on top of everything else I have to record and get done. It's just so good, dude. Anytime I can read it, I read it. Highly recommend. 5 stars. Not Joe Bob says go read Dungeon Crawler Carl and Carl's Doomsday Scenario. But for now, guys, that's where I'm going to end this video. I'm having a blast reading these books. I need to go read some more. I got some editing and stuff to do. I have some more content coming up. I have a bigger project, 2 bigger projects really, coming up. So I'm really excited about that. For now, go read Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I will catch you next time.